Hey folks, my name's Ed Trevors. My pronouns are he, him, and his. I'm an Anglican priest serving in the beautiful parish of Christchurch-Shelburne that sits on the ancestral and on the unceded territory of the Mi'kmaq people. Yesterday, I had some work that I really needed to do, and it was work that I really didn't want to do. I could easily do it, I just had no desire to do it. I had no desire to jump in. My wife was making a shepherd's pie in the kitchen. And when I walked through the kitchen to leave, I noticed that she had certain things going on, and I thought, well, you know what, I'll just jump in and help out. And so I helped clean up a little bit, and I helped put some things in the fridge and, tuck some things away, and I helped clean up, and I found a bag of peas that were basically, a snowball of peas. And she was going to use them in the shepherd's pie, but they were going to take time to thaw, and so I thought, well, I'll just take care of this for her. And I spent, 6 or 7 minutes thawing it out in warm water in the sink. Until she finally looked at me and said, quit procrastinating. Go do the work you have to do. As I mentioned in another video, I'm not an expert in the Constitution. I'm not an expert in impeachment. And so I really don't know what's going on in the Senate chambers. And honestly, I don't have a whole lot of desire to watch it live. I'll check out the highlights later on. But the other day, in an interview, President Biden was asked if he was going to be watching the impeachment proceedings, and he said no. No, there's too many other things going on. I've got meetings, I've got things that I need to do, there's policy, there's directions we want to take the country. These are all really, really important to me. Now, the president has a Senate that he trusts, a Congress that he trusts. He has aides and assistants that he trusts. He knows that if something comes up that requires his attention in those impeachment proceedings, he can be there for it. But apart from that, he's going to spend his time doing the work that he was elected to do. So he knows that if the public knows he spends 5 and 6 hours a day watching the impeachment, that he's not spending those 5 or 6 hours a day trying to work the country's way out of a pandemic, trying to rebuild an economy, trying to finalize an aid package, trying to figure out how to get a $15 minimum wage or how to bring universal health care into the homes of all of his citizens. There is important work to do. And while the impeachment itself is important, it's not necessarily something that he has to do. Watching it isn't something that he necessarily has to do. My wife making that shepherd's pie was really important. And it was important that I help out. But at that moment, I allowed what needed to be done in the kitchen to distract me from the work that I really needed to do. I allowed the work that needed to be done in the kitchen to distract me from my responsibilities. And that's what I think I appreciate about the President's answer. It gives us the impression that he was going to focus on the big picture stuff and let others help him with this peripheral matter. In Paul's letter to the Philippians, chapter 3, he says, "Not that I have already obtained this or have already arrived at my goal, but I press on to take hold of that which Christ took hold of me. Brothers and sisters, I do not consider myself yet to have taken hold of it, but one thing I do, forgetting what is behind and straining towards what is ahead, I press on towards the goal to win the prize for which God has called me heavenward." Now, Paul's talking about he's talking about a spiritual journey. He's talking about being Christ-like. He says, I've not quite got there yet, but I forget about yesterday, and I push forward towards the goal that God is calling me. These words are easily applicable to our own lives here. There is work for us to do. We have goals for ourselves. We have goals for our families. We have goals for our communities. We have goals for our nations. There are things we want to see happen. There are things that we are willing to work towards making happen. There are lots of other important things going on around the world. Some of it are things that we absolutely must be a part of in order for them to take place, in order for them to be finished, in order for them to be completed successfully. And there are other things wildly important that you and I don't need to be immediately involved in. We need to focus on our goals. We need to focus on the work that has been given to us, and let others do the work that has been given to them. We need to starve our distractions. We need to feed our focus. I have no idea who said that, but it wasn't me. May the Lord bless you. May the Lord keep you. May the Lord's face be made to shine upon you and be gracious to you. May the Lord's countenance be lifted up to you, and may you always know the peace of being in the Lord's presence. And I pray that today and tomorrow and for all the days to come, you and I will be focused on what's ahead of us, so that we may see the dreams that we have and the call that God has placed on our lives come to full, sweet fruition. Amen.